Hello and welcome to Stage 3 here at the OVO Energy Women's Tour 2019 as the riders now make their way from Henley-on-Thames to Blenheim Palace. And this relatively flat day in the saddle could result in a bunch sprint yet again, as we saw yesterday when a very familiar face came to the fore. Stage 2 of the OVO Energy Women's Tour saw the peloton complete 25 laps of the Kent Cyclopark. At just over 62 kilometres, it was the shortest day in the saddle, and Canyon SRAM's Eleanor Tacchini made an early attack. She got away briefly, but with the first iceberg sprint of the day fast approaching, the riders chasing bonus seconds for the GC soon reeled her in. Marianne Vos pipped Lizzie Deignan and Corinne Rivera to the line and picked up 3 bonus seconds. Sprint 2 came after lap 15, and it was Sheila Gutierrez-Ruiz who crossed the line first to pick up the maximum bonus seconds. Corinne Rivera was once again in the thick of the action in second place. In the final iceberg sprint of the day, Leanne Lepere took the honours, but Lizzie Deignan picked up another 2 bonus seconds. On the final lap, the peloton were all together and lining up for a bunch sprint.
Deignan tries to come through. Marianne Vos, though, the legend, the icon, is she going to take it? Yes, she is. Marianne Vos. Big celebration from Vos.
That win on Stage 2 means that Marianne Vos is the new leader of the race. She has a 9-second advantage over Lizzie Deignan and Amy Peters, with Corinne Rivera, Sarah Roy and Lisa Brunel hot on their heels. Sarah Roy joins me this morning. How are you reflecting on yesterday? A good day in the saddle for you.
Yeah, we're really happy with the result yesterday to get a third, a podium. Not that there was actually a podium, but yeah, third place is it's really nice for us. We've been working on our sprint and trying to improve each day, so it was good.
And what did you make of the element of having a circuit race? Because that's quite unique for the OVO Energy Women's Tour.
Yeah, it was a bit different to have a circuit race in the middle of a tour, but you know, I think it's good to mix things up a little bit, and I had fun out there and it was fast, and hopefully it was exciting to watch.
How much do you enjoy coming over to Britain to race on these roads and in front of the crowds and the school kids?
I really do love this event. It's definitely one of my most favourite events to come to throughout the season. Just, yeah, with the crowds and what they do with the schools and getting the kids involved, and it makes it's so exciting for us, and it's through the whole race as well, you know, not just at one point. It's a lot of different points throughout the race, all the different villages and towns that we ride through, and yeah, it really makes it exciting for us.
Well, another team very excited to be out on the road this week are the only all-British team in the peloton.
Now we've got a bit of a move here. This looks like Abby May Parkinson from Team Drops.
I think that's one of the longest races I've done.
She's got a brilliant move here. She went at a brilliant time, and now she's able to ride on her own, have her gels whenever she wants. She's got no stress of being in a hectic bunch.
How much did you eat? 3 gels, 2 rice cakes, a bar, a flapjack.
This peloton behind it have got a serious amount of work to do to pull back Abby May.
You couldn't have had a better first stage, I don't think, especially to be the only British team in the race. And Abby did such an amazing ride.
I went off the front on day 1. That kind of wasn't as planned really on my own. Riding through all the crowds, all like screaming drops, 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 because they know that we are all British, really makes you press on the pedals and really makes you smile actually. Like, I couldn't stop smiling going round.
We really wanted to get the Combativity Award, and we did, and yeah, the best British rider, so we did everything we set out to do.
We're feeling quite special, but there's a bit of responsibility. We wanted to make an impact, showcase our riders and our sponsors and our partners in the best way.
The team had a really tough winter, and I think it's just due to Bob's hard work and determination to get the team here that we are here.
We were in a situation last year where we were seeking a new co-title sponsor and a new bike partner.
It was really stressful throughout the winter when we didn't know what was happening, and we were sort of just going from one email from Bob to the next, and we didn't know what was going on in between that.
We got Cannondale on board quite early in the process for bike partner. We thought we'd secured another co-title sponsor. Unfortunately, that fell through at the very last minute. We then were resorted to either folding the team or to crowdfund the team.
the British public all pulled together and all donated to a crowdfunding page, and then we had some individual sponsors as well that came on board.
To see all the tweets and everyone, and even like young girls aspiring to do this in the future, you know, they were putting their pocket money in to come and save the team, and that is just great really, isn't it?
The comments we got from people just to say that they were all supporting us, and it makes a huge difference, and it just makes us want to work harder.
Yeah, we've set our standards pretty high for the rest of the week, but we've come into this race off a really strong towing gun just 2 weeks ago.
We have some really strong riders, and it's great because we're all good at really different things.
If we all just give 100%, that's all you can do.
A brilliant atmosphere there within the squad. And for you, what's life like on the road with your team?
Oh, we have so much fun out there together. You know, there's a lot of laughs and laughing so much till you cry pretty much every day. So yeah, it's really nice, really good crew. Yeah, good bunch of girls. We've been together for a few years now, so we know each other well, and I really like that we can switch on and off. So we know when we need to be on the ball and professional and on the job, and then we can switch off and have a lot of fun as well.
And that fun must be really important when you're going day after day and it's so tough.
Yeah, definitely. And I think maybe there's a little bit of an element for us being Australian as well, and just being so far from home and away from our friends and family and our support network that we would normally have back home. And being here for 9 months of the year in Europe and away from home, we become each other's family. So yeah, it's really special and it's good for us.
Well, last year, of course, you took the stage win on stage 3. Talk us through today's profile. Is it another good opportunity for you?
Yeah, it's an interesting profile. It's a little bit harder in the beginning of the race with 2 solid climbs quite early, like in the first 20k. And then, it will settle down for a bit, and it could be a bunch sprint, but also a good opportunity for teams and people to get away in a break. So a lot of it will depend on who controls the bunch and whether the peloton lets, you know, a little break go away or not. So we're willing for both. You know, we've got a good opportunity for another sprint for me if it comes to that, and but all of my teammates are so strong and really great opportunistic riders as well, so they'll be looking for a crack in a break too.
Well, good luck out there today.
Thanks.
Sarah, thanks for joining us, and for now let's take a closer look at exactly what is in store on the route profile for stage 3. Setting off from Henley-on-Thames, the riders have to contend with 2 classified climbs very early on in stage 3. Having negotiated the hills, there are sprints at Wallingford and Didcot before the peloton complete the 145.1 kilometres through Oxfordshire to finish at Blenheim Palace. Situated on the River Thames, Henley is one of the most beautiful English market towns with many interesting historical buildings. Best known for its annual Royal Regatta, Henley attracts some of the world's finest rowers. Visitors can enjoy a boat trip down the regatta course and stop off at the town's award-winning river and rowing museum. Considered by many to be the real Downton Abbey, Blenheim Palace was built in the early 18th century as a gift from Queen Anne to the first Duke of Marlborough in thanks for his victory at the Battle of Blenheim. It's the only non-royal country house in England to hold the title of palace. Can you predict how today might play out with the profile?
Yeah, it's supposed to be a sprint, but you never know because there is all twisty roads and nervous, so yeah, maybe some teams try to make a breakaway, but we have both senses in the team to have in the breakaway and also in the sprint, so let's see what's happened.
I think today is an important day. You know, to pay close attention. I think it could be quite an aggressive day today, so it's important for the team just to stay focused, to look after Mariana, to look after the interests of the team because we have more than one option, and then to take it day by day.
Time now for a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few moments with all the action from stage 3.
Riders on the start here for stage 3 of the OVO Energy Women's Tour from Henley-on-Thames to Blenheim Palace. 145.1 kilometres awaits them. And going into the stage, Mariana Vos in that green OVO Energy leaders jersey. Yolene Dura in the pink breast cancer care points jersey. She's second in that classification behind Voss. Christine Majerus is wearing that black Skoda Queen of the Mountains jersey. Corin Rivera there in that red Iceberg Sprints jersey. Lizzie Deignan in the blue jersey as the best British rider. Sarah Roy there in the yellow and black of Mitchelton Scott. Joe, going into today's stage, should be one for the sprinters again, but after yesterday, Marianne Vos, what a phenomenal victory.
It really was a phenomenal victory. So Marianne Vos, incredible rider. I think 395 victories in her career in total across road and track and mountain biking, and of course cyclocross. And yeah, another win for her yesterday. It's a race that you would have thought would have been one for the pure sprinters, but she's such a strong all-rounder that she can win on any sort of course. So to see the delight in her face when she did win, it was like it was her first ever bike race win, which I absolutely love seeing that. And you know, she's a real crowd favourite, you know, a real sort of ambassador for the whole of women's cycling.
And I think what we saw yesterday, that bike change just showed the cyclocross talent, and also didn't need a lead out either. So as we roll out here from Henley-on-Thames, great to see all the school kids along the side of the road. Couple of climbs early on in the stage today, Joe. How do you think that's going to affect things?
Well, it'd be interesting because we had no classified climbs yesterday in the circuit race, so that Queen of the Mountains jersey is still with Christine Majerus, but if she wants to defend that, the action's all going to come early on. I think the climbs are too early to really affect the outcome of the race finish because we've got a lot more flat as we go into the finish, so it could be one more for the sprinters. But the early climbs are an opportunity for a breakaway, but really I think the girls that are going for that Queen of the Mountains classification need to be up there early on, need to have been well warmed up before the start of the stage, ready to race hard.
So 6.5 kilometres in, we're heading towards the first Skoda Queen of the Mountains point of the day. Pishill, which is 2.4 kilometres in length, average gradient of 2%. And at the moment, everyone just huddled together. They'll then go on to Brightwell Hill after this one. And just 2 iceberg sprints today. You can see Chantal Black on the right, just leading out there for Bull Dolmans. Christine Majerus sitting behind her teammates. It looks like Bull Dolmans are going to try and lead this one out. Very compact group. Jasinska there on the back for Team Movistar. So at the moment, no breakaway attempts. I've got to say, so far in this race, looking at Chantal Black, Amelie Deirdrickson right behind her, they just know how to control a race perfectly.
They do. So Bowles Dolmans have got some super domestiques. When you've got the likes of Chantal Black, a previous world road race champion, working for you, leading you out, you've got a super strong team, followed by Amelie Deirdrickson, again another previous world road race champion. So what a brilliant lead out there for Christine Majerus coming to this climb.
When you get onto these sort of traditional English country roads, quite narrow, when you're in there, you know, it's quite hard to move up when the bunch is quite compact like this.
It is really hard to move up, so all the DSs will be saying on the radio to their riders, move up, move up, move up. They'll be saying this on the build up into the climbs, and everyone's of course got the exact same idea, but it's far easier said than done, and as the roads get even narrower like this, it is even harder, and I think a lot of riders often think the climb will be a good chance to move up, but if you have got the legs and you can sort of move through the bunch as it gets strung out, that can help, but really you need to be there before you enter the climb, so you're in the best position to go for those points.
Yeah, indeed, Kasia Nuvedoma, just seeing her towards the front now for Canyon Schramm. Chloe Hosking as well is not far from the front for Ale Cipollini. You can see the Ale Cipollini team in those fluorescent yellow, orange and black jerseys. Ellen Van Dyke on the left of your picture there for Trek Segafredo in that light blue, dark blue and white jersey, but at the moment still all together going into the stage. Majerus with 7 points, just 2 points ahead of Berta Zolo, and with Abby May Parkinson with 4 points in that classification. And a bit of a mechanical here, front wheel puncture for Shannon Malseed. So again, for her, when the group's like this, she just needs to try and get that wheel change and get it back on before the sprint starts for the summit.
Yeah, so it's quite early in the stage, so she'll be able to get a quick wheel change and get back on. She might have a teammate drop back for her, she might not. It depends how hard the racing goes over this climb. There's never really an ideal point to get a puncture, but in general, you know, earlier on the stage, it's not so bad.
So you can see now Team Virtu now moving up. Anuska Costa right on the wheel. Majerus reacts, a very gentle start to the climb. You can just see it's just gradually going up. Costa just moving up here into second wheel. Brody Chapman just behind her for Team Tidco. Lottie Becker on the back here wearing 72 for FDJ. And, Team Virtu. Great couple of opening days that they've had in this race. As the Team Tidco rider we mentioned there, Brody Chapman, she's on the outside. Right on the back of the group again, the Park Hotel Valkenburg riders. Demi Bollering, actually, rider from Park Hotel Valkenburg. She's had a great start to the season. As we get into some of the sort of hillier finishes, she's a rider actually that I think we need to watch.
Definitely. So she was 5th at Flesh Malone this year, which I think probably surprised a lot of people. And as a team, they've had a really successful early season. Oh, problem here for Corinne Rivera. So
Rivera just dropping out the back of the group quite quickly there. Looking for the team car, so hopefully she'll make that back in quite easy. For someone like Rivera, again, she won't panic. The team will be back to just pace her in.
Yeah, she's got a very strong team in Team Sunweb, so she'll be able to get her mechanical sorted from the team car, have a word on the radio, and have maybe 1 or 2 teammates drop back for her and pace her back nicely.
So again, you just see the pace on in the front, just the riders just knocking out the tempo on the back here. Ellie Dickinson moving up there in the white jersey for Team Drops. Again, they've had a good start to this race so far, and again, they see the rider just bouncing. This is Alessa Viglia from Valcar Silence. She's just bouncing on the wheel, sometimes just testing out the pressure sometimes. Sometimes you can feel like you've got a puncture and you haven't.
Oh, you can. So some of the British roads do feel quite slow and quite heavy, especially if you're used to training somewhere like Spain where you've got lovely fast roads. You come to the UK and the roads just feel heavy, and you can think, is something wrong with my bike? Have I got a puncture?
Here we have a little attack now. Chapman now makes a move for Team Tidco, just upping that pace, everyone reacting behind. So this is really the first time we've seen the American team on the offensive here, and she's just opening up a small gap here. Costa just battling back there for Team Virtu there, trying to bring Bertazzolo into a strong position. Look at Majerus though, in that black Skoda Queen of the Mountains jersey. So Brody Chapman just trying to take some points here. This is a category 2 climb. So 6 points over the top. So no points yesterday, so still so many climbs to go in this race. If you can do what Brody Chapman's doing here and just try and sweep up some points, you know, you can really become a force to be reckoned with in this competition.
You can, it's all to play for, and especially so early on, these points are going to make a huge amount of difference. And for a team to be able to take a jersey and go on the podium, you know, that's a real victory for them. There's all these competitions within the stage race, and they're all equally important. And it's interesting also to see a rider from an American team go on the attack, because racing in America is so different to racing in Europe. You know, you've got big, wide, fast roads. Here we've got very narrow lanes, lots of road furniture as well. So I know it can take a lot of the American teams a little bit of time to adjust to racing in Europe, but obviously this team here are adjusting really well.
They are, and just catching a glimpse on the back there, wearing 141, Alice Cobb, the young British rider. Had a chat with her before the start. She's just battling some injuries at the moment, is Alice Cobb. She's a phenomenal climber. She's just in front of our Valkenburg rider there, but Chapman just stretching this advantage now. You can see this climb just starting to bite here, and Majerus did the right thing there, just backed off.
Yeah, so really strong attack here, but Majerus has got a strong team around her from Bowles Dolmans, and she's such a skillful bike rider as well. She knows how to follow the wheels and get herself in the right place at the right time, so absolutely don't discount her yet.
Not at all. Now you can see that the bunch are just gradually dragging back the Team Tidco rider. Now Majerus, the Queen of the Mountains leader, comes up towards the front. Bertazzolo is right with her, and just behind her, Kasia Nuva-Doma, Sarah Roy up there as well. Floortje Mackay just moves through as well. Abby Van Twisk moving up towards the front as well. So what we're seeing on this climb as well, even though they're early on in the stage, riders like Nuva-Doma, former general classification winners, keeping themselves out of trouble. Majerus though starts the sprint now for the summit. Bertazzolo is the rider that's right behind her, and Nuva-Doma just crosses the summit there in 3rd place. So there's riders behind. Now we're going to start to get a few attacks. There's confirmation of your results. So Majerus takes 5, Bertazzolo takes the 4 points, and that down to Anna Plichter. Now next move going in here. So Anna Plichter now makes a move here for Trek Segafredo. So a good attack here from them. This is a good move. So perfect time to attack straight after the climb, just when everyone's starting to recover, and you make your move.
It is the perfect time to attack. So we saw some brilliant teamwork from Czech Segafredo yesterday, doing a really strong lead out for Lizzie Duggan at the finish of the stage, especially Alan van Dijk doing a monster turn on the front. And here they've obviously got the tactic today to send the rider away. That means the rest of the team can sit back, relax a little bit and not have to be the ones doing the chasing.
Very early on in the day though as well, 135.6 kilometres in towards the finish. There's that situation, we've just seen a few riders get tailed off here. I was chatting to Abby May Parkinson before the start as well. When you're this far out, Abby May went late in the stage on day one, but you're starting to think, I just hope a few riders might come up to me, and Anna Plichter will be hoping for that as she now goes solo. Stage 3 of the OVO Energy Women's Tour from the famous rowing town of Henley-on-Thames to Blenheim Palace, 145.1 kilometres. And our solo leader, Anna Plichter from Team's Trek Segafredo, 50-second advantage that she's got over the peloton. And Joe, I think Anna, when she went over the top of Pichil, she was hoping that a group would come up to her. It's a long, lonely day in the saddle out there in front like that.
It is a very long way, and I think that would have been the ideal to have a small group together. But with this situation, with only a rider from Trek Segafredo up the road, that means all the other teams need to think about, well, it's our responsibility to do some chasing here. Trek are the one team that can really relax and think, you know, we've got a rider up the front, we don't have to do anything anymore today. They were the ones doing the big lead out yesterday, but now they can relax with this girl up the road.
So Plichter now going through the start here of the Queen of the Mountains points, Brightwell Hill, 1.5 kilometres, an average gradient of 9%. So a category 1 we're giving this. That means there's 10 points to the rider that goes over the summit of this one in the lead. So she scored some points on the first one, could put herself well up there in the Queen of the Mountains competition with this one.
Yeah, she could, and that puts the pressure on Boels Dolmans as well, because Christine Majerus has been looking, of course, really strong. We didn't see a great deal of work from Boels Dolmans yesterday coming into that lead up for that finish. So I think, obviously, with the stage victory on day one, Christine Majerus going for this competition as well, they'll have to be thinking, you know, are we happy just to go for the second points, which I think will still give her plenty, but maximum points clearly going to go to this rider here.
Anna Plichter, so Polish rider, 27 years old, so comes into this race again. We just had the Grazia Orlova race in the Czech Republic, put in a great performance in that one, 4th in the general classification, took a 2nd place in the time trial in that one. So that race in particular, along with races Tour de Bretagne, the Thuringen stage race that we've just had, they're great sort of form builders to come into this one.
They are, so a lot of riders will use these stage races as a really sort of good hard block of training. You can never quite replicate race day when you're out training on your own. It's never quite the same. Add into that the bunch skills with the big peloton and everything else. It is the best way to train really as a road rider.
Is indeed. So again, you see a good performance in the time trial there. You'd love a time trial in this one, I would say.
I would. I think that's the one thing this race is missing. We've got longer and hillier stages. We've had a circuit race yesterday. I'd love to see a time trial or a team time trial. I think that'd be popular among riders as well. A lot of the team sponsors, a lot of the bike companies invest a lot into their aero kit, and it is a great way to showcase that equipment.
Indeed, maybe a team time trial. I'd like to see that one. The peloton can see Anna Plichter just ahead. So as Joe said, it takes the pressure off, and you can see the climb just starting to kick up here. Just now you can see why as it gets steeper as the climb goes on, why it's getting that category 1 status. So the peloton have her in their sights. Well, she managed to extend her lead over the top of this one. Again, quite narrow here on this climb. No opportunities for the riders to move up. So remember, Christine Majerus, the leader in that Queen of the Mountains competition, is already building a good advantage in this one. So took 6 points over the top of the category 2 climb that we had just before this one. And I think a lot of riders, when they come to Great Britain, they find that the little climbs all the time, it really hurts your legs, doesn't it? It's not like we're not really like other countries where we have long sections. It's either up and down all day in a way.
Yeah, well, we haven't got the Alps, we haven't got the Pyrenees, but we do have this rolling countryside, which I think it's easy to perceive that it's flat, but it's definitely not flat at all. You're up and down all day. It's really wearing on the legs. It can often be a real sort of race of attrition with a lot of action happening further down the bunch of riders getting dropped, and if you are placed further back, you have to come round people. So it is very hard work, and it is very hard racing here in the UK.
So Plichter just starting to see that summit ahead of her, back to the peloton. You can see all the riders out the saddle at the back here. Good crowds ahead of the Trek Segafredo rider as they head up towards the summit. Had a chat with her teammate Elisa Longo-Borghini before the start. It was quite surprising when you chat to a lot of the riders of the reaction to the circuit race yesterday. It was so unusual for them. And Elisa in particular is so impressed with that Kent Cyclopark. I think she's going to try and campaign for one to be built in Italy.
Yeah, well, it was a great showcase for that facility, and it is a great facility, and I'd love to see more of them throughout the UK. I think we could do with a few more up north, to be honest, because it is probably the best way to develop bike handling skills for anyone at any level, but also particularly for young people, for novices of any age as well, that want to get into cycling but aren't quite ready to go out on the road just yet. It's absolutely brilliant facility, so I'm glad we could showcase it here.
Anna Plichter now crests the summit, just takes a big gulp, takes 10 points in the Queen of the Mountains competition. Great to see so many people out on this one, but it's going to be the battle behind who's going to take those all-important second place points. So 10 points down to 1 for 10th place. Majerus will be looking to try and battle it out. We'll see if Bertazzolo has got the legs to challenge in this one. Roxanne Knetemann just starting to drift off the back of that. She'll battle to get over the summit. Back to the next riders, and it's Majerus that leads Nuvia Doma over the top of that one. So Christine Majerus getting more points scored. Quite interested today to see Kasia Nuva-Doma is starting to move up towards the front, challenge for these Queen of the Mountains points. She almost looks like she's looking for that point to try and go on the offensive.
She is, so we know she likes to race aggressively. Of course, she's won this stage race before as well, but we know she is really well known for being a very strong climber, and we know this edition of the race is probably the hilliest they've had, but by quite a long way, with all the hills to come in the last 3 days of racing, really. So this is a chance for her to test her legs, see how she's feeling, see how she's climbing compared to the other climbers in the race. Even if she isn't going for this Queen of the Mountains competition, it is a really good test for her still.
We're inside 1 kilometre to go to the first iceberg sprint of the day in Wallingford. So remember, 3, 2 and 1 seconds. 45 seconds is your gap from your lone leader, Anna Plichter of Trek Segafredo, back to a Team Virtu-led peloton. And Nuska Costa was the rider that was on the front through those bonus seconds, all important. And now Team WNT move through towards the front. Elisa Brennauer, you can see there, sat in third wheel. And today, Joe, just 2 intermediate sprints. We've had 3 sprints on both of the opening stages.
We have, so I think the intermediate sprints really dictated the race yesterday because there wasn't any climbs, it was a circuit race, and you had 3 chances within the race for those bonus seconds and points, and I think that's what the big teams really focused on. Today there's a lot more happening, but once again, all the teams lining up for their lead-outs and racing full gas for this sprint coming up.
Anna Plichter now rides through here. She'll take the maximum 3 points and 3 bonus seconds. Then all the kids out. Their English and maths lesson, much more important to watch the bike race. Back to the sprint now for second place. We just caught a glimpse of that green jersey of Marianne Vos. Brennauer is there. Lizzie Deignan in that blue jersey as the best British rider. Abby May Parkinson getting up here as well. We just caught a glimpse as well of Corin Rivera in that red Iceberg Sprints jersey. Now Marianne Vos lines up for the sprint. It's between her and Rivera on the line. So Marianne Vos has a look across at Corin Rivera. We'll wait for confirmation of that one. But our lone leader still trying to build her advantage here.
We had 4 previous winners of the race there, racing full gas for second and third in that sprint. We had Lizzie Deignan, Marianne Vos, Corin Rivera, all going for it, and Lisa Brennauer as well.
They have confirmation of your sprints. Anna Plichter takes it from Corin Rivera, with Marianne Vos taking that 1 bonus second. Moving on to our second sprint of the day. We're almost into Didcot now, our lone leader. So building that advantage over the peloton behind, and not really giving her much rope though at the moment. Back to the peloton behind, and Voss and her teammates on the right of your picture. Oh, big crash there right in front of Marianne Vos, the lead out train of Voss, and you can see the teammates shouting into the radio there. You just saw a teammate right in front of our green jersey, and a big crash going down on the side, and this has really split the peloton.
That crash was right across the road there, so we've got, you know, just a small percentage of the peloton still racing now for this next sprint, but that crash affected a lot of riders.
Have a look. So the teammate of Voss loses it in front of her team leader. Voss goes down, quite heavily, just into that sign at the side of the road as well. All across, you can see riders on both sides of the road there. So we'll try and bring you some news on that as soon as we get it. The riders, of course, still carrying on here for the intermediate sprint. Our lone leader, again, completely as she would be, oblivious to what's gone on behind her. Team WNT leading out for Lisa Brennauer. So Anna Plichter now riding up towards the line, so she would be unchallenged in this one. She took 3 bonus seconds on the first intermediate sprint of the day. She takes another 3 there. She went in today 45 seconds down in 76th overall, and behind Lisa Brennauer, just having a bit of a chat with the teammates. It's a very difficult situation, this, and you can see now that the race director has got the flag out. It looks like he's now neutralizing the race, so he's just the race director's car in front of the riders. Plichter has been informed, so it looks like at the moment, Joe, they're going to neutralize the race.
Yeah, that was a huge crash affecting so many riders. Of course, the race leader as well, Marianne Vos, in that green OVO Energy jersey, which was a huge shame for her. But clearly the race directors decided here to neutralise the race, make sure all the riders get the appropriate medical attention that they need. So Anna Plichter here, our leader, has been stopped. So when they do restart the race, I'm sure she'll be given the lead that she had before the race was neutralised. But rider safety, of course, by far the most important thing right now.
Is indeed. Mick Bennett there, just out of the car, just having a word with Anna Plichter, just asking her if she needs a jacket to keep warm. The riders are behind. That's the neutral service car just coming up here. The race just halted for the moment. We will be underway as soon as the riders behind have been attended to. After the race was neutralised, approaching the second sprint in Didcot, which affected a large number of the peloton, the race was restarted with leader Anna Plichter's gap intact. However, the Trek Segafredo rider was reeled in by the peloton with approximately 40 kilometres still to race. The crash affected a great number of riders. 9 had to abandon, including OVO Energy green jersey wearer Marianne Vos and 2 of her teammates, along with 3 members of Team Virtu and Trixie Warwick of Trek Segafredo. The race was all together as we headed into the finish in the grounds of the historic Blenheim Palace. Ellen van Dijk on the front, Elisa Longo-Borghini on the wheel, Lizzie Deignan moving up there in that blue. Best British rider. Watch out for that come the finish. Team Sunweb getting up there. There's Lisa Brennauer in the centre of your picture. Joe, this job, the lead out, the riders like Ellen van Dijk, they make it look easy. It's a sort of job that teams love you to do. It takes a lot of organisation.
It does. So your first lead-out rider, what Ellen van Dijk's doing here, needs to be a really strong rider, normally a sort of time trial type rider that can get on the front and just go hard for a long time. And as your riders go further back in your lead-out train, you'll have riders with a bit more of a jump or a bit more of a kick on them, and they'll be the last ones to lead out and unleash that sprinter. So your practice lead-out trains in training, on training camps, which is quite straightforward when you've got a quiet road and you can easily get yourself organised and in line and do it all perfectly. On race day it's quite different. It takes a bit of organisation to get your riders at the front at the right time. You'll normally have a race captain on the road, so a rider in your team is nominated to sort of communicate with the other girls in the peloton. You'll of course have your DS on the radio as well, but ultimately the most decisions are made on the road because because it's the point of view of the riders that have got the best perspective of the bike race.
And you're seeing Christine Majerus now moving up in that Queen of the Mountains jersey, because you see the way it's easy on a straight road as well, but when you're going left and right all the time, it's quite easy for a lead-out train just to get washed away, and then you've got to do the job all over again. It's almost like a washing machine out there sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. So the harder you're going, the more you've got the peloton strung out, the harder it is for anyone else to break into your train and set up their own train. So basically, if you've got that first person really stringing the bunch out, no one else can do anything about it. But we can see here a few other teams. So Boels Dolmans now, we've got Christine Majerus and 2 other riders there. Of course, Jolie Dore, winner of day 1 of this stage race, so she'll be fancying herself for a sprint today.
Indeed, watch out for her in that pink breast cancer care points jersey. She's got Amy Peters right in front of her. We're seeing the Mitchelton Scott team as well coming up in the yellow and black. 5 kilometres to go now in towards the finish in Blenheim Palace. We've got this right-hand bend with about 500 metres to go, so positioning into that final corner is really going to be key in this sprint.
It will be. So riders will have studied the road book before the race and had a little look at what sort of finish they've got coming. Of course, we had the complete opposite yesterday, where we had many laps of the same circuit and multiple sprints on the line. So there's plenty of chance to practice your lead out, get organised, know what gear you want to be sprinting in, know what side of the road you want to take, know what line you want to take on the corner. But it's completely different when you're coming into a finish not having seen it before. So these girls here will have studied the road book, like I said, but ultimately it's on the road at the time they need to make those quick decisions to know exactly what line to take and when to go.
So we're just going round the grounds of Blenheim Palace now, very famous venue, one of the country's most popular triathlons that people love to participate in. Riders down the back here just heading in towards the finish. So sprint day here, we've got a bit of a hilltop finish to come tomorrow, and then we get into our final 2 days. So the riders, Jolien Dora, the sprinters, Chloe Hosking, they're really going to be looking to try and get this stage victory today.
Yeah, so this stage race is really a sort of race of 2 halves. We've had the first 3 days, which on paper look to be flatter and should be more favouring the sprinters. This is the last one of those today, and then we've got 3 hillier stages. So any teams with a strong sprint will be thinking we need to take advantage of these first 3 days of racing. So far we've had a win for Marianne Vos and a win for Jolien Dore, but everyone else is thinking, well, if we've got a sprinter, today's our last chance, really.
Oh, rider going down on the right, so just getting caught there. In towards the final few kilometres now. Amelie Deirdrickson, you can see on the left in that Danish champions jersey, the red and white. Abby May Parkinson again for Team Drops is well to the front of this one. Van Dijk and Team Trek Segafredo just keeping things on the right hand side. Lisa Brenau just trying to get Team WNT organised. Here come Canyon Schramm as well. Hannah Barnes up towards the front. They've got Eleanor Cecchini. So again, there's only so much room on this road. Every single team here wants to try and lead out their sprinter.
Yeah, we've got probably 3 teams here quite key at the front. WNT, Canyon Schramm, Trek Segafredo there as well. Everyone trying to get themselves organised, trying to get themselves in control of this race. Lizzie Dignam must be feeling good. She must have had a word with her teammates saying, I really quite fancy this finish today. But Boels Dolmans on the left also trying to get involved.
Katrin Hammers now bringing Lisa Brenauer up towards the front. She's having one of the best seasons ever coming into this race. Off the overall victory in the Thuringen race. Shake of the head though for Lisa Brenauer. Looks like she's now going to have to freelance this sprint, because yesterday, when we think back to the stage victory of Marianne Vos, some riders, they don't need the riders in front of them to lead them out. They just kind of surf everyone else's lead outs and find their own way through.
Yeah, absolutely. So a good sprinter, it's brilliant if you have got a really strong lead out train, but similarly, if you can get on the right wheels, get yourself in the right position in the peloton, you can still have a brilliant result. And we saw that exact thing from Marianne Vos yesterday. You know, she's a supremely talented rider, knows exactly what she's doing in that bunch, and you'll see other riders doing similar things as well.
Marta Cavalli now in that light blue jersey. She's the Italian champion. She's also the best young rider in the Women's World Tour this season. That's why she's wearing that blue jersey. She's bringing her teammate Maria Giulia Confalonieri through in the pink and blue of Team Valcar. 2 kilometres to go. It's still advantage Canyon Schramm at the front. Hannah Barnes doing a great job leading this one out.
We saw Sunweb on the right as well getting themselves organised. We could see them there. So Corinne Rivera, of course, their sprinter, been very active right from the start of this race 2 days ago. So, of course, she'll be looking for a stage victory as well.
And here come drops on the right. Ellie Dickinson and Abby May Parkinson. Again, the British team. And Ellie Dickinson, phenomenal track rider is Ellie Dickinson. She's a team pursuit rider for the British national team. And look at the power now of Ellie Dickinson. She's a phenomenal Omnium rider on the track. So this is great to see team drops. Abby May Parkinson, as we said, she got caught with 2 kilometers to go on the opening day. Perhaps now Abby May got designs on this race overall.
Exactly. So incredible ride here by Ellie Dickinson, getting herself to the front of this bike race at this stage. You know, still a relatively young rider and predominantly a track rider, but doing a lot of work there for Abby May.
Kasia Niewiadoma now in the centre, 1 kilometre to go up towards the line. The Canyon SRAM rider, the winner of the Amstel Gold Race this year, and a similar kind of move to this one that she's making. She takes advantage of every little rise that she can. Former winner of this race, we're seeing Sarah Roy up there in the yellow and black of Mitchelton Scott. Chloe Hosking is also through towards the front, another Australian sprinter. Niewiadoma has a look round now. Amy Peters switches over. Now it's the Bull Dolmans rider in the orange and black that moves through towards the front.
We've not got much organisation now, so there's Amy Peters there with Jolene D'Or, but lots of riders in 1s and 2s with no real clear lead-out train anymore.
This is our right-hand bend that's going to take us up towards the finish. We'll see out of this corner who has advantage over the front. 500 metres to go. The historic Blenheim Palace now the distance. There's Sarah Roy for Mitchelton Scott now trying to go on the right. Amy Peters is there. Lisa Brennauer now in the red and blue from WNT. And Jolien Dura is right there in that pink jersey now. They line up for the finish between Brennauer and Dura. Dura takes her second stage victory of this race. Lisa Brennauer led it out, but it goes to Jolien Dura.
Wow, a brilliant sprint there by Jolene D'Or. Fantastic teamwork again from Bull Dolmans. She had the perfect lead out there from Amy Peters. Quite a chaotic finish there, but once again, she comes out on top.
Celebrations all round for Bull Dolmans. Another stage victory for Jolien Dura. Jolien Dura takes the win on stage 3. Lisa Brennauer was second ahead of Demi Bollering in third. Roxanne Fournier fourth. Sarah Roy in fifth, and Lizzie Deignan came in sixth. Jolien Dura celebrates her second stage victory on this year's tour following her win on the opening day.
It was a pretty hectic race today, and also with a big crash, and they neutralized the race, and so it was a bit, I don't know, a bit strange today, but yeah, happy with the win, of course.
Christine Majeras strengthened her hold on the Skoda Queen of the Mountains jersey. Corinne Rivera still leads in the Iceberg Sprints competition. The Wahooligan Combativity Award went to Anna Plichter for her long solo attack. But for CCC Liv, it was a very bad day.
Before the intermediate sprint, team was doing a lead out for Mariana, and Jana hit a big pothole and she lost her handlebars, and Mariana was sitting her wheel, and so she went down. I actually landed pretty much on top of the crash, so I wasn't too badly affected, but it was really unsettling. All that I do know now is that everything's under control and that she's okay. And yeah, Jana hit her head pretty hard. She actually wanted to start again, but the team convinced her not to. And then Valerie was ribs, so yeah.
With Marianne Vos crashing out, Lisa Brennauer has taken possession of the green jersey as leader of the OVO Energy Women's Tour. So after stage 3, Lisa Brennauer leads Corinne Rivera by 3 seconds, with Lizzie Deignan and Amy Peters just 1 second back. Sarah Roy is at 6 seconds off the lead, and Jolien Dura is at 8 seconds.
Well, now in the OVO Energy Green Leaders jersey, Lisa joins me now. Talk us through a somewhat eventful day, but you've had a tremendous 3 days on the road, seeing you in this jersey.
Yeah, I got second in the stage today and third on the first stage. So with some bonus seconds, I'm now the GC leader, and yeah, I'm quite happy with that. But also it is a bit the downside because we had a crash in this stage, and unfortunately the race leader had to drop out of the race, and so it feels also a bit weird to be the leader now. Things like that unfortunately happen, and I want to wish all the best to the riders who crashed today.
Yeah, something we never want to see. And just quickly, looking to tomorrow's stage, what are your expectations?
Yeah, tomorrow is going to be the longest stage of the tour, and yeah, now I'm in the leader's jersey, so I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be lots of work for me and my teammates, and I hope that I can maybe take some intermediate sprint seconds as well and try to defend this jersey. But first of all, I think we are happy, and we're going to go there full gas tomorrow.
Thank you so much for joining us today, and join us once again tomorrow at the same time for all the action from Stage 4.